This is Election 2020, New Mexico House District 34. I'm Fred Martino. KRWG Public Media and the League of Women Voters pleased to present today's forum. The rules are simple. Candidates have up to 60 seconds to answer each question and should not mention their opponent in the answer. My co-host from the League is Vicki Simons, and we welcome candidates Raymundo, Lara, and Dawn Ladd. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you. Our first question, Raymundo, is for you. In what ways, if any, should the tax system in New Mexico be reformed? Explain.
Thank you for that question. So there's a couple of things that really have been going through my mind regarding this question. And the first one is one of the things that we need to look at is reforming or changing the double taxation of our retirees with taxation on Social Security and the retirement benefits. The other would be I would really like to look at the gross receipts tax and how that's utilized, how it's implemented, because we need to make sure that that these taxes are divided up equitably, and we need to look at the other ways we can generate revenue from sales tax or any other kind of service-related tax as opposed to gross receipts tax. Because sometimes there are government projects, there are construction projects that we have to pay gross receipts tax on that are funded with capital outlay dollars, for example. So we're basically taxing ourselves when that money should be going to the projects themselves.
Okay, thank you. Dawn.
Thank you. And yes, actually, collectively, many of us Republicans, in fact, all the ones that I know, collectively, we are all in favor of getting rid of that double taxation on our seniors. We don't think that that's the way that they should be treated. We're only one of 13 states that does that. And so collectively, all of us are on board with that we want to get rid of that. The other thing is that I am, and without getting into it too deeply, because it is a little bit of a deep topic, but I am actually trying to turn my district into what I call a Second Amendment sanctuary city, which would include first responders, law enforcement, veterans, and active military, to where they are exempt of property tax. Again, it's a little bit of a long story to explain that, but I think that this is the least that we can do for our heroes.
Vicki.
Thank you. I'd like to thank KRWG for their efforts in helping keep voters informed. I'd like to thank both of the candidates for participating today. We really appreciate it. Next question you've both referred to. You can enlarge upon it if you'd wish. Dawn, should New Mexico continue to tax Social Security benefits, and explain?
Well, and again, that was no, I don't believe that they should. As we were saying, it's double taxation. I can say personally, I would really like to see those senior citizens feel welcome to move into our state, and then also those that reside here, just that respect that's due to them. It is double taxation, and they've already been taxed on those wages. So yeah, we need to get rid of that. We're one of 13 states, so yeah.
Thank you. Raymundo, same question to you. Again, should New Mexico continue to tax Social Security benefits?
Thank you for that. I don't think we should. I really don't think we should. But one of the big questions that comes up when we talk about this is, where is the state going to make up that tax revenue from the if we stop taxing these retirement benefits? So the tax that we're losing from there has to come from somewhere else, and that's, I think, where we have to be a little bit more creative and think of different ways to look at the tax code. For example, once again, I'm going to bring up the gross receipts tax, other things that we can do to look at and to make up for that lost revenue that more than likely will happen if something like this passes.
Okay, we move now to education. Raymundo, we start with you for this next question. Starting pay for teachers is nearly 20% lower in New Mexico as compared to districts in El Paso, which start at more than $50,000 a year. How do you assess efforts to make the state's salaries more competitive?
Thank you for that. And it's a very big challenge. Good example was in my first session in 19. We were discussing pay raises for our teachers, much needed pay raises for our teachers. And we were talking about, 5%, 4%, something along the line. And so I was watching the news one day, and our colleagues, our counterparts in Texas were supporting or talking about a $5,000 raise right off the top. So no matter how much we try to increase or implement an increase for our teachers, we were always a step behind, because it looks like Texas was one step ahead of us and making those raises and raising their teachers, because somehow, I guess, down the grapevine, they found out that we wanted to give teacher raises and they wanted to keep their teachers, so they decided to give them a raise on that end. And it unfortunately is very complicated. It's going to be very competitive, but there's a lot of options that we can use to make New Mexico more attractive to young teachers.
Okay, Dawn, your answer to that question.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, definitely our schools have a failing rate nationally, and we have for many years. And that's not the fault of the teachers. The teachers are definitely underpaid, underappreciated. What it is a mismanagement of funds that's going to administrators rather than being channeled into the classrooms where it needs to be. Even in the Yazi Martinez case, the judge there had also said, he agreed that the money is not getting into the classrooms. So we need to just really get into those and figure out, how can we better reallocate our money to where it's actually helping our children.
Thank you. Vicki.
Dawn, next question for you. Are you satisfied how much money was allocated to the Early Childhood Trust Fund in the 2020 legislative session? Explain.
Thank you, Vicki. Actually, no, I'm really not, because I know some people are saying, well, it hasn't really been administered yet to really have a fair assessment of it. But I don't think that our current ratings are justifying that money being spent on something that hasn't justified that it's going to be effective. And so I have great concern with that when right now we've got this huge deficit. So again, I think these are things that we need to really sit down and reevaluate. Is this the wisest thing to be doing with our money? Especially right now with what has just happened with COVID and affecting our state and putting us in so much debt.
Thank you. Raymundo, same question to you. Are you satisfied with how much money was allocated to the Early Childhood Trust Fund in the 2020 legislative session? And explain.
Yes, thank you for that. No, I'm not satisfied. I think it should be more. Making that investment in our children is what's going to bring New Mexico out of the situation that we're in. It's early childhood education, a basic foundation, which should be a basic foundation for all New Mexico children, is something that we really need to invest in. So the $325 million that were in the fund, I think is going to go by very quickly, because when we think of early childhood education, it's not only children in the schools or in the classrooms, it's also with certified child care centers. It's also with home visiting programs. So there's a wide swath of services and educational opportunities for our families who would otherwise not have those opportunities. So I think the 300 is not enough. I think we need to invest more.
Thank you.
Raymundo, what actions do you support to improve the accessibility and quality of healthcare in New Mexico, if any?
Thank you for that. So we've learned many things with this COVID pandemic that we're currently in, and one of those is besides education is healthcare and the access to healthcare. So there's a really big push for telemedicine. And it's great. I think it's accessible. More people can access it. However, in theory, they can access it. However, people lack the means to connect in order to have those telemedicine sessions with their doctors. So I think it needs to be a multi-pronged approach. I think we need to make and work with our state to make healthcare more affordable to our citizens, as well as expanding on and working more with telemedicine so we can reach the more rural areas of our state and of our area in general.
Dawn, same question for you. What actions do you support to improve the accessibility and quality of healthcare in New Mexico, if any?
Sure. Thank you, Fred. Well, again, it's actually broader than just healthcare, because we've got to fix our economy. And once we fix our economy, that opens up so much more opportunities to focus in on that healthcare and that opportunity for better paying jobs that include that healthcare, that quality healthcare that people need. But in addition to that, I would really love to see some of the industry be opened up in the Santa Teresa, Sunland Park area, to where businesses feel welcomed, which that's going to be regulations, lightening up on some of those regulations too, where, there's been a lot of talk about bringing in-house the production of medicines. And I think that is a perfect location. It's right there in the Tri-City with Mexico, El Paso, and Las Cruces, New Mexico. And so it's a great place to think about that going in there. And that is going to lower the cost of medications nationwide, but that helps us and it creates jobs.
We're out of time on that one. Vicki?
Dawn, a related question. What should the legislature do to improve the New Mexico economy and ensure job growth? Explain or expand.
Sure. Well, New Mexico is known as one of the most unfriendly business states. So we really need to get in there and start looking at, what can we open up for so many of these businesses? And, just to give you a really quick example, down there on I-10, there were 2 truck stops that wanted to open up on the New Mexico side. And because of regulations, they just hopped right over the border into Texas and opened up in Texas instead of New Mexico. So we lost out on that. And so we really need to go in and evaluate, why are we being so hard on businesses, and open that up. And that's going to help and of course we need to open up. We need to open up the state, because that's causing damage as well to the economy and the health and well-being of our people.
Thank you. Raymundo, same question to you. What should the legislature do to improve the New Mexico economy and ensure job growth?
Thank you for that question. So what I would like to see, and what I think is important, is that we have businesses here that are currently operating, that are currently hiring New Mexicans, that are currently paying gross receipts tax and working within the system. What we need to do as a legislature is support those businesses that we have by expanding infrastructure, water, sewer, natural gas, electricity. We need to work on building that infrastructure, because what happens is when we have corporations that are coming into the area to look at the area to see what's available, the workforce, the infrastructure, that's one of the very first things that they look at. Do we have water? Do we have wastewater? Do we have electricity? What is there? Is the infrastructure already there? That way we can just come in and build the buildings that we need. The other part of that is our workforce. We need to have a trained workforce that can work in those industries. So it'll make our area much more attractive. So I believe in investing and working in what we have now. We build that up, and it'll make our area much, much more attractive to business.
Okay, Raymundo, do you favor the legalization of recreational marijuana in New Mexico? Explain.
Thank you for that. I support responsible legislation. And if there are protections, and if there are let me see, what's the word that I want is protections, and if there's assurances that the plant or the product won't get into the hands of youngsters or minors or people who shouldn't have it, that's very important to me. And another thing that's very important to me is that if we head in that direction, we need to make sure that we place New Mexicans first and New Mexico business first. What I anticipate if this happens, we're going to get a flood of companies and people from out of state. And that's what I really don't want. Why I don't want to see that. I think we should invest in our people first, and we should allow them the opportunities to be part of this business before anyone else comes in if we get to that point.
Thank you. Dawn.
Yes, thank you, Fred. Well, you may not know this, but I am a dance and exercise instructor. So people's health and wellness it's very deep in me. So I do not endorse I don't endorse promoting a culture of addiction. And the marijuana of today, it's been GMO'd. It's not the marijuana of yesterday. It's not even the marijuana of 20 years ago. So the THC in it is considerably higher. But I really endorse much more teaching people life skills instead of aversion to dealing with life. But in addition to that, and this is actually from Doña Ana County Sheriff Kim Stewart, she has given us a briefing on it before, and she talked about it in other states where it was legalized, the cost of living goes up, the cost of auto insurance goes up, and that means that those businesses that have to run errands with their vehicles, they're going to pass those expenses down to us, the consumers. So everything in the state's going to go up.
We're out of time. Vicki?
Dawn, should it be legal in New Mexico for a physician to assist a patient in dying? Explain.
You know what? I just really believe in the sanctity of life. And I think that is a slippery slope that can go in a very wrong direction very quickly. So I do not support that at all.
Thank you. Raymundo, same question. Should it be legal in New Mexico for a physician to assist a patient in dying? Explain.
Thank you for that question. That is a really, really tough question. And, it's been brought to my attention and people have talked to me about it. And I still don't feel comfortable with saying yay or nay on it because I don't have enough information yet. This is something that is really a very serious issue. It's a very serious issue, and it should be taken with a lot of consideration. And honestly, I'm still on the fence about that. I'm not too sure. I don't feel comfortable with addressing that.
Thank you.
Raymundo, do you support any adjustments to current gun regulations? Explain.
No, I think that right now, I think we're in a good place. I think we have the background check law, and we also have what they call the red flag law, and I think those are sufficient now. I really don't think that we should need to revisit this, because if we do revisit this, if someone decides to bring this up in the legislature, we need to make sure that gun owners and responsible gun owners have their rights protected and that they're able to maintain and use their guns in a responsible manner. So right now, I really don't see anything like that, no.
Thank you. Dawn.
Yes, sir. Well, obviously, because you heard me mention before that I am very passionate about trying to push through a Second Amendment, we call it a 2A sanctuary city for my district. And I've got a lot of support from law enforcement on that. I have a lot of respect for Sheriff Stewart, but we definitely disagree on this issue. I definitely am a supporter of the constitutional right to do that. And, but again, clarifying that is law-abiding gun owners. It is not something that is, obviously exempt for felons. But I definitely am looking forward to turning my district into a 2A sanctuary.
Thank you. Vicki.
Dawn. Should New Mexico promote renewable energy? If so, how?
When you say renewable energy, what forms are you speaking of, ma'am?
whatever forms
You mean like wind farming or solar farming? Okay,
Right.
I am
whatever
not.
other methods you think would be.
Yeah, well, I am definitely not in support of solar farming and wind farming. I'm a very green person, and I've done a lot of research on that. And a lot of my research is based off of those, say, for example, Jim Hansen, Stuart Brand, and Michael Schellenberger. I mean, these were some of the original hippies. These were some of the original environmentalists. And they have had to come out and admit that, in our efforts to try to save the environment, we're actually putting it at greater risk. And actually, the least to leave a carbon footprint is nuclear. And we have uranium here in New Mexico. I do believe we need to start tapping into that. So thank you.
Thank you. Raymundo, same question. Should New Mexico promote renewable energy? And if so, how?
Thank you for that. Yes, I think New Mexico should, because the way I see it is an economic opportunity. El Paso Electric already has the solar farms in New Mexico. So they're providing us electricity now, utilizing those solar farms. What I would like to see, and I would like to focus on, are the economic benefits of this. Not necessarily just push, solar or wind power just to push it out. I think New Mexico has the opportunity to gain funding or revenue from selling that green energy out of state. California is very hungry for green energy, and I think that New Mexico can provide that, and we can sell it to California. We can sell it to other states who are willing to buy it, and we can use that as an alternative method of gaining revenue into the state. So yes, I think it's a good option, and I do think that we should look at it.
Thank you.
Raymundo, what is the role of the state, if any, in abortion regulation?
Thank you for that. That's a good question. I don't see that the state. The only thing that I see that the state should have is, and you said the word, sir, is regulation. We need to provide a framework for people to access these services, and we need to make sure that care is given within this framework. So I think I really do not believe that the state or me as a legislator have a right to tell anybody what to do with their body or their medical decisions. But what I do believe is that it needs to be within a framework. So I think I want to take a very practical, reasonable approach to this, and because I understand that some people may use this, and we need to make sure that if they do decide to use this service, that it's done in a responsible, healthy manner that isn't going to really going to put the patient and or the doctor at risk.
Okay, Dawn.
Yes, actually, I do believe it is the state's job to protect life. And, I have yet to see something that has cell division that is not alive. And those cells have DNA. And that DNA tells me that's human DNA. And that is a very different DNA than the mother's DNA. So we have a human life that has its own entity. And it is the state's job to protect that.
Thank you. We have time for one more question, and that comes from Vicki Simons.
All right, Dawn.
Yes,
do you favor an open primary as a way for independents and decline to state voters to participate in primary elections, and explain?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. I'm glad you asked that one. I think so. I mean, I'll admit I haven't investigated that very much, but I don't see why not. I think I'm on board for that one.
Okay, thank you. And Raymundo, do you favor an open primary as a way for independents and to decline to state voters to participate in primary elections? Explain.
Yes, I do. Thank you for that. Yes, I do. I do feel that we need to have more participation in our primary elections, and I'm very open to having that happen. There are a lot of like you had mentioned, decline to state or independent voters that may want to decide who ends up on the ballot. And I feel it's important that they also have an opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
All right, and we are, believe it or not, out of time. What a great conversation that we had, and we want to thank you for joining us for election 2020, New Mexico House District 34. Thanks to the candidates Raymundo Lara and Dawn Ladd, and my co-host Vicki Simons.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of you. And for all of us at KRWG News, I'm Fred Martino. Thanks to you for making public media possible. Have a great week.